It's just one night with my CEO, she said. He's my fantasy. I said, okay. She smiled, thinking I was weak. I smiled, knowing I'd already made the first call. 3 days later, her fantasy became a $400 million corporate disaster. Her CEO screamed one question. Who is your husband? My name is Dale Reynolds. I'm 57 years old, and I've spent the last 25 years building a career as a senior regulatory compliance director here in Austin, Texas. It's not flashy work, but it's important work. I help companies navigate SEC regulations, ensure their mergers don't violate federal law, make sure their paperwork is clean when the government comes knocking. Most folks' eyes glaze over when I explain what I do, but that's exactly how I like it. The real power is in the details nobody else bothers to understand. My wife Linda never really grasped the intricacies of my job. She knew I worked with legal documents and corporate structures, but the specifics didn't interest her. As long as the mortgage was paid and her BMW had gas, she was content. She worked as Chief Strategy Officer at Phoenix Capital, a growing investment firm downtown. She was good at her job too, confident, ambitious, the kind of woman who walked into a boardroom and commanded attention. We'd been married 12 years, met shortly after her divorce when she had 2 kids from her first marriage. Carol was 5 then, Roy was just a baby. Their biological father took off to California and barely sent child support. I stepped in, became the dad they needed, coached Roy's little league team, helped Carol with her algebra homework, taught them both how to ride bikes in Zilker Park. I thought we had something real, something solid. Then came that dinner at Perry's Steakhouse. Tuesday night, mid-September. She ordered the salmon, I got the ribeye. We were halfway through a bottle of Cabernet when she set down her fork and looked at me with this strange expression. Not guilt, not nervousness, something closer to excitement. Dale, I need to talk to you about something, Linda said, her voice steady. I wiped my mouth with the napkin and waited. There's this opportunity that's come up, she continued, swirling her wine. Something I've been thinking about for a while now. Okay, I replied, still not seeing where this was headed. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes bright. You know Eugene Morrison, the CEO we're acquiring through the Pinnacle merger? I nodded. I'd met him twice at company events. Tall guy, silver hair, expensive suits. The kind of executive who spoke in sound bites and firm handshakes. Phoenix Capital was in the middle of a complex merger with his company, Pinnacle Holdings. A $400 million deal I'd been providing compliance oversight for. He's interested in me, she said simply. And I'm interested in him. It's just physical, Dale. Just one night. He's been my fantasy for years, and he finally made it clear he feels the same way. The restaurant noise faded into white static. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, the laugh, something to indicate this was a joke. It's just one night with my CEO, she pressed on. He's my fantasy. I'm not asking for a divorce or anything dramatic. Just one night to get it out of my system. I set my fork down carefully. My hand was steady. My voice was calm when I spoke. Okay, I said. She blinked. Okay. Yes, okay. That wasn't the reaction she expected. She wanted drama, an argument, maybe even permission to play the victim when I exploded. But I gave her nothing, just that one word. We finished dinner in near silence. She kept glancing at me, trying to read my face. I ate my steak methodically, drank my water, asked the waiter for the check. On the drive home, she tried again. You're really okay with this? You've made your decision, I replied evenly, my eyes on the road. What else is there to say? She didn't know that I'd already started making calls before we even left the parking lot. The first one went to Harold Jackson, an old colleague who specialized in corporate investigations. The second went to my contact at the SEC. Linda thought my silence was weakness. She had no idea it was preparation. I woke up at 5:30 the next morning, same as always. Linda was still asleep, turned away from me under the covers. I showered, shaved, put on my usual gray suit and blue tie. Everything routine, everything normal. That was the key. Let her think nothing had changed. By 6:15, I was in my home office with the door closed. Harold had already sent 3 emails overnight. He worked fast, which was why I kept him on retainer. The first email contained preliminary corporate filings for both Phoenix Capital and Pinnacle Holdings. The merger had been in the works for 8 months, and Linda had mentioned it casually over dinner conversations, proud of her strategic role. The second email was more interesting. Harold had pulled the board composition for both companies along with their SEC disclosure requirements. There it was, buried in the federal compliance documents. Any personal relationship between executive leadership during active merger negotiations had to be reported to the Securities and Exchange Commission within 10 business days. Linda hadn't reported anything, neither had Eugene. That was their first mistake. The third email contained something I hadn't asked for, but appreciated anyway. Harold had done a background sweep on Eugene Morrison. Married for 24 years, 3 grown children, member of the Austin Country Club, sitting board member for 2 local charities. The kind of man who built his reputation on family values and ethical leadership. The kind of man who had everything to lose. I printed the documents, filed them in a locked drawer, and deleted the emails. By 7 o'clock, I was drinking coffee in the kitchen when Carol came downstairs, backpack slung over one shoulder. "Morning, Dad," she said, grabbing a granola bar from the pantry. "Morning, sweetheart. Ready for that chemistry test?" Carol made a face. "As ready as I'll ever be. You're still picking me up after soccer practice, right?" "Wouldn't miss it," I assured her. She smiled, gave me a quick hug, and headed out the door. Roy appeared a few minutes later, still half asleep, his hair sticking up in 3 different directions. "Why do mornings exist?" he grumbled, pouring himself cereal. "One of life's great mysteries," I replied, ruffling his hair. Linda finally emerged around 7:30, wearing her power suit and heels. She moved through the kitchen with practiced efficiency, pouring coffee into her travel mug. "I've got an early meeting," she announced, not quite looking at me. "Have a good day," I said evenly. She hesitated at the door, turned back. "Dale, about last night." "You said what you needed to say," I interrupted gently. "No need to revisit it." Relief washed over her face. She nodded, grabbed her keys, and left. I waited until her car pulled out of the driveway. Then I made another call. This one went to Patricia Cole, a securities attorney I'd worked with on 3 previous cases. We had an appointment scheduled for tomorrow morning. The next 48 hours felt like chess moves being played out across a board Linda couldn't even see. She went about her normal routine, attending meetings about the Pinnacle merger, completely unaware that her fantasy was about to cost everyone involved their careers and more. I maintained my regular schedule too, picked up Carol from soccer practice, helped Roy with his math homework, attended a neighborhood barbecue on Saturday afternoon. But behind the scenes, things were moving fast. Patricia confirmed what Harold had found. The undisclosed relationship between Linda and Eugene during active merger negotiations wasn't just an ethics violation, it was a potential federal crime. Securities fraud, conspiracy, violation of fiduciary duty, the kind of charges that came with prison time. On Sunday evening, I made the call that would change everything. My contact at the SEC was someone I'd worked with on compliance issues for the better part of a decade. He knew my reputation for thorough documentation and accurate reporting. When I told him about potential undisclosed relationships affecting the Phoenix Pinnacle deal, he listened carefully. "You have documentation?" he asked. "Enough to warrant investigation," I replied. "We'll look into it." That was all it took. One phone call from a trusted compliance professional to the right person at the right agency. By Monday morning, the SEC had opened a preliminary investigation into the merger. By Tuesday, they had enough evidence to halt trading on both companies' stock pending full review. Linda thought she was in control of the situation. She was about to learn otherwise. Wednesday morning started like any other day until my phone buzzed with a text from Carol. "Dad, Mom's freaking out. She won't stop crying. What's going on?" I checked the time. 9:40 in the morning. Linda should have been at work. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Linda's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring 4 times before answering. "Dale," I said simply. Her voice came through broken, panicked. "Dale, I need you to come home right now, please." "What happened?" I asked, though I had a pretty good idea. "Just come home," she repeated, her voice shaking. "Please." I told her I'd be there in 20 minutes, then gathered my things with deliberate slowness. No need to rush. Whatever was happening had already happened. When I walked through the front door, I found Linda sitting on the living room couch, her phone clutched in both hands. Her makeup was smeared, eyes red and swollen. She looked up when she heard me, and the desperation on her face was almost enough to make me feel something. Almost. "What's wrong?" I asked, setting my briefcase down. "Eugene called me this morning," Linda said, her voice trembling. He was screaming, Dale, absolutely screaming. I sat down in the chair across from her, waited. The merger's dead, she continued, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. The Pinnacle deal is completely dead. The SEC opened an investigation last night. They found out about us. Found out what exactly? I asked calmly. That Eugene and I were involved, that we've been seeing each other. They said it was securities fraud, that we should have disclosed it months ago. She wiped her face with shaking hands. Eugene called me screaming. He kept asking, "Who is your husband? Who the hell is your husband?" I leaned back in my chair, studying her. Why would he ask that? I don't know. Linda's voice rose to near hysteria. He just kept screaming it. Then he hung up. I've tried calling him back 15 times. He won't answer. And the merger? I prompted. Gone. Completely gone. The board's pulled out this morning. They're citing undisclosed conflicts and potential criminal liability. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold her phone. Dale, they're talking about criminal charges. The FBI contacted Eugene this morning. HR called me an hour ago. They want to see me tomorrow morning. They used the words administrative leave. I nodded slowly, processing this information I already knew. My contact at the SEC had confirmed the investigation last night. The anonymous tip about Linda and Eugene's relationship had come from an untraceable source, mine. How did they find out? Linda asked, her eyes searching mine desperately. I met her gaze steadily. That's an excellent question. The HR meeting happened exactly as I predicted. Linda came home that afternoon looking like she'd aged 10 years in 6 hours. They put me on administrative leave, she announced, standing in the doorway of my office, pending a federal investigation into securities fraud and undisclosed conflicts of interest. I looked up from my laptop. Did they say how long? Indefinitely. They took my badge, my laptop, my company phone, made me hand everything over like I was some kind of criminal. Standard procedure, I observed. Standard procedure? Linda's voice sharpened. Dale, my career is falling apart, and you're talking about standard procedure? I closed my laptop, gave her my full attention. What would you like me to do about it? I don't know. Show some emotion. Maybe act like you care that your wife's life is imploding. You made a choice, I said evenly. These are the consequences of that choice. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. You knew this would happen. I suspected it might, I admitted. How? Her eyes narrowed. How could you possibly know? I stood up, walked to my filing cabinet, and pulled out a folder. Inside were copies of the merger documents, the SEC compliance requirements, the board member contact information. I'd had them for days. Because I read the documents, I said simply. The ones you should have read before you decided to sleep with your CEO during an active merger negotiation. Linda's face went white. You reported us. I didn't report anything, I replied truthfully. I simply made sure the right information reached the right people. There's a difference. You destroyed my career on purpose. No, Linda, you destroyed your career when you violated federal securities law. I just documented it. I returned the folder to the cabinet. You wanted one night with Eugene Morrison. I gave you permission, but I never said there wouldn't be consequences. She stumbled backward, gripping the doorframe for support. Who are you? I'm the man you've been married to for 12 years, I answered. The one you never bothered to really know. Carol appeared at the top of the stairs, her face confused and worried. Dad, Mom, what's going on? Why is everyone yelling? I looked at my daughter, then back at Linda. Why don't you explain it to her? I suggested quietly. Tell Carol why you're not working anymore. Tell her about your fantasy. Linda's face went from white to crimson. She opened her mouth, closed it, then turned and fled to our bedroom. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the pictures on the wall. Carol looked at me, tears forming in her eyes. Dad, what's happening? I climbed the stairs slowly, put my arm around her shoulders. It's complicated, sweetheart. Your mom and I are going through some things. But you and Roy are going to be fine, I promise you that. Are you getting divorced? I didn't answer right away. The truth was I'd already contacted Patricia Cole about divorce proceedings. The paperwork was being prepared, but Carol didn't need to know that yet. Let's take this one day at a time, I said instead. Right now I need you to be strong. Can you do that? She nodded against my shoulder, and I held her there for a long moment, feeling the weight of what I'd set in motion. This was just the beginning. Over the next 2 weeks, everything unraveled faster than even I had anticipated. The SEC investigation expanded beyond the undisclosed relationship to examine Eugene's financial dealings over the past 3 years. What they found was damning. Multiple affairs with employees, misuse of company funds, harassment settlements paid with corporate money. The man Linda had fantasized about turned out to be a serial predator who'd used his position to exploit dozens of women. The FBI got involved when they discovered he'd been using inside information from the merger talks to trade stock through offshore accounts. Securities fraud became conspiracy charges, became a federal racketeering investigation. Eugene's carefully constructed image as a family man and ethical leader crumbled in spectacular fashion. His wife filed for divorce the same day the FBI raided his office. His 3 children changed their last names. The Austin Country Club not only revoked his membership but issued a public statement distancing themselves from his actions. 2 charities removed him from their boards and demanded the return of donations made in his name. The local newspaper ran a front-page story about the investigation with Eugene's photo prominently displayed. The headline read, "Local CEO's Web of Deceit Unravels." The article detailed his affairs, his financial crimes, and the collapse of what would have been Austin's largest merger of the year. I was reading about it on my laptop when Carol came into my office. "Dad, Mom's outside," she said quietly. "She wants to talk to you." I looked out the window. Linda sat in her car, an older Honda Civic I didn't recognize. The BMW was long gone, repossessed when she couldn't make payments after losing her job. "Tell her I'll be out in 5 minutes," I said. Carol hesitated. "Dad, she looks bad. Really bad." I closed my laptop and went outside. Linda had aged years in months. Her hair was graying, pulled back in a messy ponytail. The expensive clothes were gone, replaced by a simple sweater and jeans. She looked small, diminished. "Dale," she said as I approached, "thank you for seeing me." "What do you want, Linda?" "I found a job," she said. "Administrative assistant at a small law firm in San Antonio. It's not much, but it's something." She paused. "I'm moving there, starting over." "Good for you," I replied neutrally. "I wanted to ask about seeing the kids," Linda continued. I know the custody hearing is next month, but maybe we could arrange something more flexible." "That's between you and your children," I said. "If they want to see you, I won't stop them, but I won't force them either." Her face crumpled slightly. "Carol won't return my calls. Roy blocked my number." "Can you blame them?" "No," she whispered. "I can't." She looked at me then, really looked at me. "I'm sorry, Dale, for everything, for what I asked, for what I did. I threw away something real for something that was never real at all." "Yes, you did," I agreed. "Do you think they'll ever forgive me?" "Maybe," I said honestly, "but that's not my decision to make. You destroyed their trust. You'll have to rebuild it yourself, if you even can." Linda nodded, wiping her eyes. "I deserve that." "Yes, you do." She started to get back in her car, then stopped. "For what it's worth, you were a better father to them than I was a mother. They're lucky to have you." I didn't respond. She drove away slowly, and I watched until her car disappeared around the corner. Carol joined me on the porch. "Is she really leaving?" "Looks like it," I confirmed. "Good," Carol said firmly. Then, more quietly, "Do you think I should call her eventually?" I put my arm around her shoulders. "That's your choice, sweetheart. Nobody else's." The custody hearing 3 weeks later was a formality. Patricia Cole had prepared an airtight case, and Linda's court-appointed attorney, she couldn't afford private representation anymore, barely put up a fight. The judge reviewed the evidence. Linda's job loss due to ethical violations, her affair during marriage, her financial instability, and the children's clear preference to stay with me. I was awarded full custody with Linda getting supervised visitation every other weekend. As we left the courthouse, I saw Linda sitting on a bench outside crying into her hands. Her attorney was nowhere to be seen. Roy, who had come to the hearing despite his young age, looked at his mother through the courthouse windows. "Why did she do it, Dad?" he asked quietly. "Sometimes people make bad choices," I told him, and sometimes those choices hurt everyone around them. But you protected us, Roy said, not as a question, but as a statement. That's my job, I replied. Always will be. The weeks that followed brought a strange kind of peace. Without Linda's constant drama and the stress of her investigation, our house became calmer. Carol threw herself into her senior year of high school, applying to colleges and preparing for her future. Roy focused on baseball season, and I resumed coaching his team on weekends. I also started going to church again. Something I'd stopped doing years ago because Linda found it boring. The pastor, Reverend Walker, was a kind man in his 60s who had a grown daughter named Susan. She was the principal at Roy's middle school, and we'd met several times during parent-teacher conferences. Susan was 45, divorced with no children of her own, and possessed a quiet strength that reminded me of what I'd thought Linda had when we first met. But Susan was different. She asked about my work with genuine interest, remembered details about Carol's college applications, and cheered louder than anyone at Roy's baseball games. We started having coffee after church on Sundays, then dinner on Friday nights. Carol and Roy approved immediately. "She's good for you, Dad," Carol said one evening as we did dishes together. "You smile more." "I smile plenty," I protested. "No, you don't," Roy chimed in from the living room. "You're like a robot most of the time, but with Susan, you're actually human." I laughed, surprised at how good it felt. "Thanks for that insight." 6 months after the custody hearing, I received a promotion at my firm. Senior partner, with my own team of compliance specialists. The reputation I'd built over 25 years, combined with my role in exposing the Phoenix Pinnacle fraud, had made me one of the most sought-after regulatory experts in Texas. Carol graduated valedictorian and was accepted to the University of Texas Business Program with a full scholarship. Roy made varsity baseball as a freshman, the youngest player on the team. And Eugene Morrison? His trial made national news. Convicted on 14 counts of securities fraud, conspiracy, and racketeering. Sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. His ex-wife sold their Austin mansion and moved to Colorado with their children. He lost everything: family, fortune, freedom, and future. Linda sent a card for Carol's graduation. She didn't attend the ceremony. 8 months later, life had settled into a comfortable rhythm I never thought possible. Susan and I had been dating seriously for 4 months, and the kids adored her. She brought a lightness to our household that had been missing for years. Carol would actually seek out Susan's advice about college planning, and Roy had started calling her Miss Susan with genuine affection. One Sunday afternoon, we were all at Zilker Park for Roy's championship game. Carol was home from her first semester at UT, and Susan was keeping score in the stands like she'd been part of our family for years. As Roy rounded second base after hitting what would turn out to be the game-winning double, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a long time: complete contentment. After the game, as we celebrated with the team at a local pizza place, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I recognized it as Linda's new phone. "Saw Roy's game mentioned in the local Austin paper. Congratulations to him. I'm proud." I showed the message to Carol, who was sitting across from me. She read it, her expression unreadable. "What do you want me to tell her?" I asked. Carol thought for a long moment. "Tell her thank you, and tell her maybe we can talk eventually, but not yet." I typed the message and sent it. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. Then, "Thank you, I understand. I'll wait." Susan, who had been quietly observing our interaction, reached over and squeezed my hand. "That was kind," she said. "The kids deserve the chance to make their own choices about their mother," I replied. "When they're ready." Roy, still high from his victory, came over with chocolate on his face and a trophy in his hands. "Dad, did you see that double? Coach says it was the best hit of the season." "I saw it, champ. I'm proud of you." He grinned and ran back to show his trophy to his teammates. Susan watched him go, then turned to me. "You've built something beautiful here," she said quietly. "These kids trust you completely." "They deserve better than what they had," I replied. "I just gave them stability." "You gave them more than that. You gave them a father who puts them first no matter what the cost." That evening, after Susan had gone home and the kids were in bed, I sat on the back porch with a beer, looking up at the Texas stars. The temperature was perfect. the neighborhood quiet except for the occasional sound of a dog barking or a car passing by. 10 months ago, my wife had asked me for permission to destroy our marriage. I'd said okay, and then I'd made sure she understood what that yes really meant. Some people would call what I did calculated revenge. Others might say it was justice. I called it protection. Linda had wanted one night with her fantasy. She got it, but she lost everything else in the process. Eugene got his excitement and then got 15 years in federal prison. Meanwhile, I had my kids, my career, my integrity, and a future with someone who actually valued what I brought to the table. The difference between Linda and me wasn't intelligence or opportunity. It was understanding consequences. She saw only what she wanted in the moment. I saw the entire chessboard. She thought my compliance work was boring paperwork. I knew it was a weapon that could level entire corporations when wielded correctly. Carol appeared at the sliding door, wearing her UT sweatshirt and holding 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might want some company," she said, handing me a cup and settling into the chair beside me. "Shouldn't you be studying?" I asked. I finished. Besides, I wanted to talk to you about something. She sipped her coffee, gathering her thoughts. "I've been thinking about what Mom did, about why it hurt so much." I waited, letting her find her words. "It wasn't just the cheating," Carol continued. "It was that she was willing to risk our family for something so temporary, something that wasn't even real." "People make mistakes," I said carefully. "No, this was more than a mistake. This was a choice to put herself first, no matter who got hurt." She looked at me in the porch light. "But you chose us. Even when it meant destroying your marriage, even when it meant being the bad guy, you chose to protect us." I felt my throat tighten. "You and Roy are the most important things in my life. You always have been." "I know," she said simply. "That's why we'll be okay. Whatever happens with Mom, whatever happens next, we know you'll always choose us first." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, father and daughter, watching the stars and thinking about the future. I'd won completely, totally, absolutely. But more importantly, I'd kept my family intact when someone else tried to tear it apart. That night, I slept better than I had in years, because sometimes in life, the quiet guy who reads the fine print and keeps his mouth shut until the right moment, sometimes he's the one who wins everything that matters. The real power isn't in making noise or demanding attention. It's in understanding the rules better than everyone else and knowing exactly when to use that knowledge. Smart men don't fight with fists. They fight with facts, patience, and perfect timing.